Yo, it's your boy Logos. And I understand that I did a Neil deGrasse Tyson video last week where Thomas Sowell was talking about his ego and his inability to admit when he's wrong or he don't know something. But I want to do another video. Because if you ask me, it's when Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about the pandemic and how people should live their lives medically that I lost faith in him. Especially when it comes to anything not regarding astrophysics. And it is a shame. I used to love Neil deGrasse Tyson. I appreciate people like Neil deGrasse Tyson. He made science and other subjects much more interesting to the average person. That's also why I love Dan Carlin. He helped me get into history even more. Honestly, if it wasn't for Dan Carlin and other people, this podcast wouldn't exist. But my whole point is, people should stay within their realms that they understand and their expertise. And him trying to act like a doctor or trying to act like somebody's parent for the whole country over a shot is ridiculous to me. And if you ask me, the government just confirmed my previous suspicions about them not giving a shit about us. They could have pushed a healthy lifestyle, healthy living and eating, including exercise, getting sunlight, not being cooped up in the house all day. What did they decide to do? Sell us shots and sell us out to the pharmaceutical companies. Same shit, different day. It was happening for decades beforehand with drugs and pharmaceutical companies, but it also happens with the military industrial complex. Sending our children and people my age, myself, because I don't have kids, off to war for their own financial benefit, insider trading, and a whole bunch of other different things. If you ask me, I'm not a person that wants, uproot the system or change up capitalism, but I always agree with putting the fear of God within these politicians. I don't care who you are, what side you're on, what you look like, I don't give a shit. I don't believe you truly care about me because you don't know my everyday situation, you don't know me personally. And oftentimes, you'll sell out the same people that voted you in to go back in office and to also get within these circles of these same corrupt people that you talked about on your campaign trail about getting out, draining the swamp, but then you go and get immersed in it. That's the world we live in. But either way, rant is over. I really want to see what Thomas Sowell got to say about Neil deGrasse Tyson because, like the title says, it's not just him. There are many people like him with the same ego, inability to admit they're wrong, and trying to dictate other people's decisions that has far-reaching consequences from their, I don't know, perceived golden throne. Let's get into it.
Intellectuals on issues ranging across the spectrum, from housing policies to laws governing organ transplants, have sought to have decision-making discretion taken from those directly involved who have personal knowledge and a personal stake and transferred to third parties who have neither and who pay no price for being wrong. Close quote. So again, this counter common sense, you know what's best for your health, therefore we must make the decision in a bureaucracy in Washington.
That's right.
How?
Well, if you've been told all your life, and many of these people have, from an early age, they were in the class for bright, gifted children. They were the ones who got into the good high schools. They were the ones who were accepted in colleges that accept less than 10% of the applicants. They've heard this all through their lives. And after a while, they must, in all due modesty, believe it.
All right.
It's here we pride ourselves on what we call freedom. Okay, we're free, and part of that free, we live in a country where there are entire states where if you ride a motorcycle, you don't have to wear a helmet.
Right.
Okay, that's how free we are, or at least we tell ourselves we are. Here's the difference: if you don't wear a helmet and you're in an accident, you're more likely to die and become an organ donor, but you're not putting anyone else's freedoms at risk by doing so.
Right.
So that's a pure expression of your freedom, taking your own life at risk as a functioning, rational adult.
Right.
Okay? All right. If you now express your freedoms but put other people's freedoms at risk, that's a no-no. And so I think so many Americans were confused about them wearing a mask, not realizing that's not only to prevent you from getting sick, it's to prevent you from making other people sick.
Right.
Yeah. All right?
Now, my issue, listen, because Japan, I think it's Japan, they've been wearing masks for decades, from my understanding. When somebody is sick, they wear a mask to make others not sick. people was fine with buying into that stuff. A good chunk, well, at least me personally, a good reason why I stopped buying into it is because I'm seeing all these other politicians talking down to me about wearing this mask and how I can't go outside. I'm glad I didn't have a business, because if I did have a business, I can't open up my business. I can't make revenue. I can't support my family. While these pieces of shit are having ballroom parties and on hot mics that they don't know are hot, talking about, yeah, you can take your mask off, the show is over. Like, are you kidding me? Gavin Newsom, the piece of shit governor from California, is having parties and stuff and not wearing a mask. You have Barack Obama having these big parties. I can't remember what it was for, but I think, what, 200, maybe 2,000 people showed up. I understand that's a big discrepancy, but I know it's either 200 or 2,000, because there was like a lot of freaking people there. Either way, it was way more than the 5 or 3 people they wanted you to have around. Or what about, I can't remember her name, the little evil little woman. She's like a Democrat senator. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi and Maxine Waters. What about them getting their hair done and being caught in photos, being outside without a mask? But I'm supposed to stay inside. Here's a problem with your whole rule set and the whole idea of Americans don't want to have their freedom taken away and they're just dumb country bumpkins or idiotic Americans. You can't talk down to me and try to say that type of stuff when you at the same time can't live that way yourself. Piss off. And even more so when it came to this pandemic. We're not talking about the Spanish flu. We're not talking about the zombie apocalypse. We're talking about a, a very bad cold, a very bad flu. And it mostly targeted people that were unhealthy and had heart issues. Now, that doesn't mean you deserve to die at all. But what I'm saying is the vast majority of the population didn't have to worry about death or serious hospitalization. That's what I'm saying. And the whole idea I'm supposed to mess up my future, mess up my business, mess up my family, kids missing school, missing out on social interactions because they got to do virtual school. Like, come on, man, this is ridiculous. How many kids missed out on educational success or educational achievement in comparison to what they would have had without the pandemic? Like, this is my issue with the pandemic and all the stuff they did. It has nothing to do with me, who, wah, wah, I'm American and I don't give a fuck about people. The ways y'all go about this stuff and the inconsistencies in your behavior and your policy is why I don't do certain things that you want me to do. And personally, just being honest, I don't give a damn what some politician who can't live by the same rules think of me. You don't know me, you never will know me, you don't give a shit about me, I don't give a shit about you. That dynamic would never change. Screw you. Now, if it's somebody within my family or my circle, I would do everything I can and what they ask to keep them safe. But I just don't buy this stuff that he's saying. This is just my view. You could think I'm wrong. That's fine.
You don't know that you have it. And that's where people didn't fully recognize and understand what it means to live in a free country. I mean, you can do what you want, provided you don't subtract from someone else's freedoms. Mm-hmm. And wearing a mask creates the situation where you're not subtracting from someone else's freedoms, especially old people who could die from that.
Right.
But I think we're so selfish, though, that we only care about us.
Even if they're told. There are people who did that even when they were told. And people didn't want to believe it was real, all the conspiracy people. So I'm saddened as an educator that we have people in this, the most advanced country the world has ever seen, the wealthiest country the world has ever seen, and we have whole communities among us who are sure Earth is flat, that vaccines are bad, that the virus is an invention by the Chinese or whomever. This is disturbing. And I don't know that we have the wisdom to take ourselves deep into the 21st century.
If they had some sense of the law.
One, that's an extreme statement. Like, come on. We're not going to fall apart because people don't want to go along with the government and take a shot. A shot that has clearly been seen to be, a little bit sus in terms of its effectiveness and a lot of other things. I'm not going to get into it, but that's all I'm saying. I ain't take the shot. My best friend, he had to take a shot because of a job. I didn't apply to many jobs because they needed the shot. That's what they said. So I just avoided them. I'm glad he's still fine because he hasn't had any issues. But I personally haven't taken it. Ram hasn't taken a shot. I don't see that changing. It gotta be something drastic for me to take that shot, man. I'm just being honest. I don't see it as necessary. I don't see it as necessary for my best friend to take it to get that job either, but people just, go along. And by people I mean companies, not him. Companies will go along with the government because that's what the government says, and they'll probably take away their ability to function. But at the end of the day, it all goes back to the corruption of the government itself. If they had different priorities, probably policies wouldn't be made to begin with. You or somebody you know, like me with my best friend, wouldn't have had to get that shot. Luckily, Ram and myself, we didn't have to work those type of jobs or take those type of jobs. Not everybody can be so lucky.
Loss of freedom, which is infinitely more important than any of the specific issues by themselves. That is, Obamacare really is a huge step towards the loss of freedom. I mean, and it happens in small ways, but constantly. I mean, we can't have the light bulb that we want in our own home. We can't flush the toilet with the kind of toilet we want. We can't take a shower with the kind of shower head we want. We can't put our garbage out except and broken down by the way that some little gauleiters have decided that we ought to do it. I mean it's just the accretion of these things, many of which are too small to be significant in themselves. But in the aggregate, you can see the tendency of this. The people who think they know better and they ought to be telling us what to do, those people are the danger. And if you don't see that, then I'm not sure what the future is going to be like.
I agree completely, 1,000%. And that same sentiment is what I mean when I talk about far leftists, socialists, Marxists that talk about wanting to change the system for a better world, but they'll silence, attack, and go after anybody that disagrees with them. I say, watch those people just as much as anybody else because they're so gung-ho, they're so ravenous, they can't see a side other than their own. They can't imagine how their policies or beliefs or vitriol can lead to even worse consequences than the current society we do have right now. That's how I feel about them. And I'll say it over and over again to this channel, stop uploading videos. Like, I'm dead serious about that type of stuff. People that can't see a side other than their own will oftentimes silence the other side. And oftentimes that is very violent or restrictive, whether it's a gulag or straight up execution, or maybe in such a way like, China's social credit score, that type of thing. These people are crazy. If you want all this control, you're often not the type of person that should be wielding it. I always think people that want to be in certain positions of power because they think so much of themselves and they have all the answers are some of the most dangerous people to let into power. Because if your ego's so bad you can't see how you're wrong, yeah, you'll drive us into the ground. Look what Hitler did. Like, of course he's already crazy for his beliefs, but the war was lost for a long time, and he didn't care. As much as he talk about loving Germany and wanting to have Lebensraum and all this bullshit, like, at the end of the day, he continued to send out young German men, just like himself in World War I, to their deaths over fucking nothing. Over a war that was already lost. Seriously, think about this shit. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. It's your boy Logos. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace.